Good morning, I'm David Chaston with 90 at 9, brought to you by interest.co.nz. This week, get everything you need to know in 90 seconds at 9 o'clock, with news of large amounts of Chinese money, firstly going astray in Hong Kong, and separately other money being used to try and buy Aussie politics. However, firstly in the US, they just added 138,000 net new non-farm payroll jobs in May, far lower than expected, and there were large downward revisions to jobs growth in the previous 2 months. These figures, coupled with average hourly earnings, which grew just 2.5% in the 12 months to may prompt the doves at the US Fed to reconsider voting for a rate increase in the middle of next week. But with their unemployment rate falling to 4.3%, which is down from 4.8% at the start of the year and the lowest since 2001, and other data from the report pointing to diminishing labour market slack, still most expect the Fed to raise rates when they meet on June the 15th, New Zealand time. A closely watched survey of the giant American services sector came out overnight and was still very bullish, even though it slipped a bit from April. It recorded its 89th consecutive month of expansion with an index level of 60.7. Importantly, the new orders sub-index was strong, and even more importantly, the employment sub-index was also strong and up. The American trade deficit widened in April as Americans stepped up purchases of foreign goods such as cell phones and equipment. It increased 5.2% from a month earlier to $47.6 billion. Imports grew 0.8% from March, while exports fell 0.3%. That may have been why global air freight, as measured by tonne kilometres, grew by 8.5% year on year in April, down from the growth rate of 13.5% in March. The healthiest reason was the Asia-Pacific, with North America being the laggard. Meanwhile, global passenger air traffic grew 10.7% year on year in April, the fastest pace in 6 years. But travellers aren't going to the USA in the numbers they once did. Their $1.6 trillion tourism industry is learning the downside of having a dopey president. In China, activity in the services sector expanded at the fastest pace since January, thanks to strong growth in new orders. It offset some of the unexpected weakness in their manufacturing. Their services PMI, however, rose to 52.8 in May from April's 51.5. A similar uptick, powered by new orders, was recorded in India. And one of China's largest dairy companies says it is in trouble after someone senior absconded with most of its cash. This is a company with about $6 billion in assets. About $500 million in cash is missing, as is Ms. Ji Kun, who is in charge of their treasury function. This crisis opens up a major realignment opportunity in the China dairy industry. And in Australia, first it was Nib, who were accused of changing product terms without first informing customers. Now it's Optus, a phone and broadband supplier, admitting the same behaviour. And worse, the Australian Spy Agency is warning its major political parties about taking donations from 2 high-profile Chinese businessmen, because they may be a conduit for Chinese Communist Party interference in Aussie politics. And a former Australian Trade Minister walked straight out of Parliament last year and into an $880,000 a year job with a billionaire closely aligned with the Chinese Communist Party and its key trade policy. Democracy is under attack and subversion from everywhere. In New York, the US Treasury 10-year yield is lower at 2.18%. The price of oil is softer again today, with the US crude benchmark now down just under $47.50 a barrel, while the Brent benchmark is now under $49.50. The price of gold is higher and is now at $1,279 an ounce. However, the Kiwi dollar is pretty much unchanged today at 71.4 US cents. On the cross rates, the Kiwi is at 95.4 Aussie cents and 63.5 Euro cents. Against the British pound, we're up to 55.3 pence. The TWI is now at 75.6, and that's still its highest since mid-March. I'm David Chaston. That was 90 at 9, brought to you by interest.co.nz.